Welcome back. So, yeah, we got 4 games in the books, and I ended up needing to have the use of a little board for this game, for just the very bottom of it. This one went insane at the end. So, that tells me that the Battle of Alberta is going to be great, which we all kind of knew, but the first game tells us it's going to be awesome. So, let's start things off, however, with Pittsburgh and the Islanders. So the Islanders, they needed this one, right? So if the Islanders lose this one in regulation, they fall to 3-5-2. That's a problem. So they really needed this game, and they played like they did. The shots were 3-2 for the Penguins, 6 minutes in. Bailey forced himself a turnover, and then he mishandled it in front of the net. And then it's Eberle from Del Cole at 10 minutes and 22 seconds makes it 1-0 in favor of the New York Islanders. Kapanen then had a shot that hit the side of the net, and then it's Joseph with his first goal at 13:43, and Matthew Joseph also tweeted out congratulations to this rookie Joseph for getting his first goal. Pierre-Olivier Joseph wasn't supposed to be in the lineup yet, but as they said during this broadcast, there have been 11 defensemen used by Pittsburgh, and Joseph is reminding me of Marino last year. Marino wasn't supposed to be in the lineup either, and then due to injury, he ended up being far more prominent than expected. He did pretty well. Joseph, to me this year, is their Marino. The Penguins get a 2-on-1. Varlamov stopped Zucker on that. And then it's Eberle scoring his second of the game from Nelson and Del Cole. So Del Cole with 2 assists in the first period. That was at 15:45. Mike Matheson then hits a crossbar. And then Varlamov denied Brian Rust. So we go to the second period. In the second period, Jari denies Pulock. Jari, it's another rough night for him overall. He looked really good at times. There were other points where you could see he was fighting the puck, and I'm not sure what the fix is here if you're Pittsburgh. There was a 2-on-1 then that was stopped by offsetting penalties, which was weird. I'm not going to lie, it was weird that they called both. I think it was interference and diving. But anyways, it was interference for both. Both of them got interference. Gensel then goes over to Crosby and is denied. And they're lucky Varlamov saved that because that was blown coverage by the Islanders. You want to watch this Crosby guy. Nelson then had a steal and he shot wide. And this definitely felt like an Islanders game to that point. No penalties, a lot of flow, not a lot of shots to that stage, and a bend but don't break attitude in the defensive zone for the Islanders. Really felt like an Islanders game. Lee was then denied in close on a 2-on-1. Varlamov robbed Malkin, but Malkin does get a goal from Kapanen in 1944. So a little less than 16 seconds before the end of the period, he gets the goal. One of the reasons I didn't talk about Malkin when I was talking about guys off to slow starts is because he has been picking it up. The points are starting to come. Mayfield with the turnover to Kapanen led to that goal in the last minute. So just one of those very minor plays, just you don't quite have it, and then it's in your net. So it's 2-2 entering the third, and early in the third, Jake Gensel scores from Crosby and Rust at 3:19. So Crosby gets on the board. Rust had that's his first assist. All right, so everybody who scored tonight for Pittsburgh got 1 point. The Islanders then almost got one right after, and they would get one. It's Clutterbuck scoring to tie it from Cizikas and Martin at 8:23. One of the best fourth lines in the league, which very often for the Islanders plays like a third line. And so they get the goal, and that's a key thing. The Penguins pressure with 9 minutes left. They were controlling the game at this stage. However, with 3:43 left, the game's first penalty is called. Okay, so go back to that St. Louis, Arizona review from earlier. There were 10 power plays in that game. There were penalties called all over the place. This game didn't have a penalty until 3:45 left of the third period. Do you think it was that much cleaner of a game than St. Louis, Arizona? No. It's just that's how wildly different games are being called now. So the Islanders get that power play, and it's Lee scoring on the power play from Pulock and Barzal at 17:16, and that's your winner. The Islanders beat the Penguins. The Penguins dropped to 5-5-1. The Islanders go to 4-4-2. The shots were 9 apiece in the first. 14-10 Pittsburgh in the second, 8-7 Pittsburgh in the third. Final shots 31-26 for Pittsburgh. The power plays, none for Pittsburgh, 1 for the Islanders, and they scored on it. Jari saves 22 out of 26. Varlamov saves 28 out of 31. And the Islanders managed to get themselves into the win column. We'll see if they're ready to turn things around. Next up. All right, so this is the panic index face, and people will know this, and I did write in the number 1 here because the panic all night from Vancouver, both from Vancouver Twitter and just from Hockey Night in Canada, they could not stop talking about the disaster that is the Vancouver Canucks. And so we're going to go through this, and I'm going to discuss this a little bit at the end because it's worthy of discussion, right? So early turnover by Edler. First minute, and he's turning over the puck. And the reverse retro Leafs, it looks good in game, right? There's very few reverse retros that aren't good, and I know people don't like this a whole lot. I agree. If they'd done a St. Patrick's, if they'd done a green jersey with Maple Leafs colors and design, it would look better, but it's done, right? Next time out, they'll do St. Patrick's is my guess. Because the reverse retros have been very popular, they're going to do it again. Power play then for the Leafs, and of course they score on it. Simmons scores on that one from Marner and Riley at 4:42. So the momentum goes to Toronto. The shots were going to Toronto. The turnovers were Vancouver's. Another Leafs penalty, or another Leafs power play 15 seconds later. Oh, and both of the first 2 penalties were taken by Alex Edler. And they were legit penalties. So the shots were 5-0 Leafs 8 minutes into this. The Canucks defense backing off. So this is one of the things that's maddening. And it's something that the Leafs used to do. I remember the Leafs doing this against Boston, I want to say in 2013. But I know they did it the first time they played Boston in the playoffs as well. And I just thinking back to all the times that you would watch Boston come in and take a shot, and Toronto would just back off like, go, you want the net? Here you go. And there's nothing that will make you laugh more watching this if you're cheering for the team that scored the goal. But there's also nothing more frustrating if you're watching this as a fan going, what are you backing off for? You're supposed to stop him. And the Canucks weren't stopping the Leafs as much as they were backing off, giving them way too much time and space, and letting them tee off. Bailey then had the best chance for Vancouver. One of the keys to figuring out that your team is struggling is when after a game you say, you know who was a real diamond in the rough tonight? Justin Bailey. And that's not an insult to Justin Bailey. Not meaning that at all. What I mean is, when he is your prominent player that you look at the end of the game and go, you know what, he had a pretty good game, that means that the other guys that should be better than him weren't. And that's damning for the Canucks. And the Canucks are 0-7 coming into tonight, allowing the first goal. Make that 0-8. They do not have any fight back in them. And this is a huge part of the problem. Pettersson then had a break that was denied. I will say this, Elias Pettersson had a decent game offensively. I'm not saying anything about the defensive side of the puck, because the Canucks on the defensive side of the puck don't exist. Matthews scored from Marner and Hyman at 14:04. Great goal by Matthews, his 9th of the season. Power play for the Canucks. Pettersson hits the crossbar. He has 7 crossbars. He leads the NHL, or 7 posts, including crossbars. He has the most posts of any player in the NHL this year. Anderson then stopped a chance from Sutter. We go to the second period. Marner had a chance that went wide. Pettersson missed a great chance. And then Holtby stopped a Marner shot, but because Toronto was getting all the follow-ups because the Canucks weren't clearing, Marner gets an assist on a goal by Hyman. Lettinen with his first point as well on that one, I believe, at 7:36. And just poor defensive coverage. You can't let them pass around in your zone like that. It's just, it's lazy. It's the kind of play that I've said for years, this team's playing like they want their coach fired. And I'm not saying that that's exactly what it is, but it looks like it. It looks like the players aren't responding. So either the coach behind the bench isn't relaying what he wants the players to do, or the players are trying to execute what the coach is telling them to do, and either it's not working, or they're not doing it right. So whatever's going on, it's the heat on Travis Green is up, and the heat on Jim Benning is up as well. Anderson pretty sharp tonight too, and he was tested for the record. Honestly, Freddie Anderson had a pretty good night tonight. Hyman then just missed, making it 4-0. The power play for the Leafs, it had 2 shots, and then the Canucks scored. And JT Miller gets a goal, and you could see he really needed that goal. And the Canucks were all excited, and there was assists to be had, and Quinn Hughes had an assist on it. And wait a minute, they were way offside. Because of course they were. So they challenge it, and nope, that's gone. So we go to the third period. Matthews scored at 128. So I'm going to say this. Everybody's pointing out that JT Miller lazily played defense, and that Braden Holtby went to JT Miller after that play and kind of had words with him about his defensive coverage. I was shocked at how far out of place Chatfield was. And this wasn't the first time Chatfield had been out of place. Where on one of these earlier goals, I think it was the Hyman one, where he's offside, but he decides not to touch the puck. But by not touching the puck, he's now way out of where he's supposed to be. And Matthews goes the other way with the puck. The last guy you want to just say, well, you take it. I'm sorry. He would have been better off with the intentional offside and get the whistle. So Chatfield, I thought, and again, I know people are mad at Miller, and I agree. But I'm not sure what Chatfield's spot was there. I think Edler was the other defenseman, but he had the other player on the ice. But yeah, Matthews gets the goal at 128. And that's where you'll see the picture of how disgusted Holtby looks. It's after that goal. And then a fifth goal, because, of course, Simmons scores from Lettinen and Tavares at 3 minutes and 16 seconds. That made it 5-0. So the Canucks get a power play. They don't score on it. The Leafs get one as well. The Canucks then went back to the power play. They got one shot on that one. Simmons exited the game after a shot block. He's earned an early night, though, to ice himself, because he had 2 goals tonight, and he's showing that he wasn't washed up. And it just shows that sometimes a player who may not fit with one team doesn't mean he's not going to fit with another team. Simmons has been a bargain pickup for the Leafs. Another Canucks power play. They score on this one. It's Brock Besser at 17:56 from Hughes and Pettersson. So Hughes does get on the board. Besser and Pettersson, and I didn't celebrate it. I didn't. Anybody who's like, did Shannon celebrate when Besser scored? Absolutely not. Not in this case, no. So the shots were 11-7 for Toronto in the first, 12-10 Toronto in the second, 11-8 Vancouver in the third. Final shots 31-28 in favor of Toronto. Both power plays 1 for 4. Holtby saved 26 out of 31. Anderson saved 27 out of 28. I'm not going to throw this at Holtby. I thought Holtby made some nice saves. He just didn't have any defensive coverage in front of him. I think Holtby's fed up. I think he's getting tired of being just left hung out to dry. And I know it happened to him in Washington. Not like this. It was never like this when he was in Washington. And you know, if he allowed 4 or 5 goals, they might score 5 or 6. So it doesn't feel nearly as bad. This team is just absolutely being outclassed in every game. And again, they're now 6-9. Toronto is 9-2-1. Toronto is very happy that they get to play Vancouver 9 times. Just like Montreal is ecstatic they get to play Vancouver 9 times. So this is a problem now where Vancouver's shown that if the team is not named the Ottawa Senators, they can't win. They're 3-9 when they're not playing Ottawa. And they don't seem to care. There just doesn't seem to, and you know, Kevin Bieksa talked about it tonight, and I agree. There's no fight back. You don't see it. You don't see like a Keith Tkachuk type out there. And that's where Virtanen was supposed to be that guy, and he's in the press box. Louis Eriksson was out on the ice tonight. And I have to say in between the first and second, they were talking about Louis Eriksson being out of position. Yeah, he's not that fast. So like he gets beaten to the puck here. Yeah, we know. He's been oh, come on. We know. We isolate on Hughes and some of the defensive miscues of his or things that Edler's doing wrong. Eriksson, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. So I will say this. I didn't get upset watching this game tonight because honestly, if you're watching a team and you're cheering for them and they go out and they just lay an egg and you don't see the fight back, you don't see them really caring a whole lot, you don't see the effort a whole lot, you shouldn't get upset. If you're a Canuck fan right now and you're upset, I think you're probably showing more emotion than the Canucks did. Closest I saw was Pettersson looking up at the scoreboard and shaking his head. It was like, okay, but we need to get this fixed. And I'm at the point where, you know, I'm not going to do a video tomorrow on how Benning needs to be fired and this guy needs to be fired and that needs to change. And I'm not going to do that. But whatever needs to change, make it happen. And I'm not sure. I'm not expecting anything to happen tonight because I had that question asked to me on Twitter, like, what do you expect to happen after this game? Nothing. I expect nothing. I expect the Canucks to go out. And it's funny because before this game, I said Toronto was going to beat Vancouver. And people were like, he's going to jinx the Leafs. Why are you saying that? Because they're better. This is just reality. I've accepted this reality. And I don't think this gets turned around. I think the fact that you don't have days off, you don't have practice, you don't. For Travis Green, the one thing I do feel bad for him with is we don't have really a break here where he can get in with the team and really go at them and force them to make changes in practice to what's going on. But at the same time, this to me is unacceptable, but I don't expect anything to change. I don't expect to wake up tomorrow and hear that something's been changed in the Canucks management. Maybe in the off season, but I think this year, I mean, look, they're 6-9. They've played more games than everybody else, so they're falling behind, and they've played more games. It's just the worst of both worlds. So that being said, let us move along. And the reason I have a lot to say is because I've been hearing it all night. I haven't said anything on video, so I'm saying it here because I heard it on Hockey Night in Canada, I've heard it on Twitter, and so it's a lot of information for me to share. If some other team was this kind of tire fire, I would be just as willing to discuss it for just as long as I've discussed this. Next up, Edmonton and Calgary. I can't wait to see this matchup 9 more times. I am so excited to see this matchup 9 more times. This was, and Blasty, that Blasty jersey. Now, everybody's going to talk about the Blasty jersey and how good it looked. If you are going to mention how good the Blasty jersey looked, and you're not going to talk about the socks and the shorts, or breezers, if you will, that go with it, we have nothing to talk about. Those shorts are fantastic. And the whole look was fantastic. And then Markstrom with a great mask as well. So right away I was like, I'm on Team Flames in this one because I want to see Blasty win, because I want to see that jersey stay beyond this year. I don't want to see Blasty retired again. Lindholm scored from Dubé and Tkachuk at 56 seconds, their first shot. So I thought, okay, they have a 100% shooting percentage with the Blasty jerseys. Shut the game down and you're done. But they did shut the game down. All right. The Oilers got a power play. There was a push by the Oilers at 6.5 minutes, and then Kara scores from Cassian at 6:53, and it was a tip in, and that was the first shot by the Oilers. Or no, the Flames were still at one shot. This was, I think, the 5th shot by the Oilers. So this is where the problem comes in. Calgary does not play well in the first period. They did it again tonight. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is denied as the Oilers pressed, and then a little while later, Markstrom denied him again. Markstrom, again, the stats won't show it. Markstrom had a good game. Another slow start in the first for the Flames. There's a delay of game call against Calgary. Power play for the Oilers. Markstrom was keeping it tied. There were 4 shots during that power play for the Oilers. So they were generating opportunities and not quite able to get it. But then they get another. You can't keep giving power plays to the Edmonton Oilers. And they had too many tonight. Power play goal is scored on that one by McDavid from Nugent-Hopkins and Barrie at 18:29. So that made it 2-1 in favor of the Oilers. Second period, first shift. Gaudreau shoots wide. So this is where it gets weird, is that Calgary kind of just goes, it's the first period. Nah. And they just don't play very well. And then the rest of the game, they pick it up. Lucic scores from Mangiapane and Backlund at 3:04, and then Backlund scores from Mangiapane and Lucic at 4:58. So Lucic with a goal and an assist, Mangiapane with 2 helpers, Backlund with a goal and an assist. That line, fantastic tonight. Suddenly, Calgary's in the lead. Flames already had more shots at this point in the second period, 4:58 in, than they had in the entire first period. That's how well they played in the first. Lindholm had a chance that was stopped. Puck was loose on that, though, so Tkachuk goes and puts it in, but the whistle had already gone, and they took exception to that. Well, I mean, Tkachuk did celebrate, too, so Matthew Tkachuk was doing his best to get under their skin. I didn't see anything between him and Cassian yet tonight. Maybe Cassian's still exhausted from all the arguing with Brady, and he's like, just forget it. Tired of these Tkachuks. Oilers got a power play. And then McDavid gets a penalty for goalie interference on Markstrom. So what happened is Giordano starts tripping McDavid, and Tanev finishes tripping McDavid. What should have happened is, I'm going to say no penalty, because McDavid didn't really have a choice but to collide with Markstrom because he was being tripped on the play. Was he going to the net? Yes. Did he have an opportunity to get out of the way? No, because, again, Giordano on one side and Tanev on the other are tripping him. So he goes to the box for being tripped, which I would not have called a penalty either way. So if people want to say, well, Tanev should have been called, no. Tanev touched the puck, but he also tripped McDavid. So I would have just left it as is and just called the whistle and just had the face-off in the Calgary zone. So Lindholm had a chance that was stopped puck loose. We end up with a 4-on-4. No, what happened? Right, they end up with the McDavid penalty, so the Flames were. It's so weird. Anyways, Koskinen stopped a backhand shot. Dubé then almost scored in the last minute. Yeah, that whole McDavid running into Markstrom thing broke me. Third period, early press by the Oilers. Koskinen denied Bennett, and then it goes the other way. So Sam Bennett almost gets his first of the year, and it goes the other way. Puljujarvi on a fast break from McDavid and Koskinen at 1:18. So Koskinen had manned the puck. And, McDavid with the helper. He continues this incredible scoring pace he's been on. Power play then for the Flames, and they score on it. It's Dubé on the power play from Giordano and Backlund at 2:56. But don't change the channel, boys and girls, because then on a fast break, Gaudreau scores from Monahan and Giordano at 5:16. So the Flames are in control, right? Wrong. They're not. Because Nurse scores from Cahoon and Draisaitl at 8:55. All right, so are they going to stop with all the goals? No. At 10:57, I should say, Sam Bennett gets his first of the year from Gaudreau and Tanev. Sam Bennett was allowed to play with Gaudreau tonight and showed he could actually play with Gaudreau. So it's important to see, especially with what's going on here, that Bennett, who apparently had wanted to get traded out, and Calgary's been disappointed in some of his play, and he was a healthy scratch. Tonight they throw him on the first line and say, can you do it? And Bennett goes, yeah, absolutely. And he gets the goal in this one. So, good game by Bennett. Johnny Gaudreau, I'm sure, is saying, yeah, Bennett played well. Flames then get a power play. The Oilers ended up with a power play as well. And then the goaltender gets pulled with 3 minutes and 5 seconds left to make it a 6-on-4. And I ran out of room. This is so sad to use a tiny board and only need that much of it. But here we are. Neal blocked a shot from McDavid. That looked like it hurt. And then it was a 4-minute shift for Leon Draisaitl. And I have to say that Draisaitl and McDavid play like defensemen in terms of their shifts and their ice time. When they need a goal, they're just on the ice. And I have to say that for somebody who'd been on the ice for around a 4-minute shift, Draisaitl was not hurting them out there. It's not like you could look at this game and say, wow, well, Draisaitl was getting slow. Not really. So the Flames do win this one 6-4, but look at the shots. 17-3 for Edmonton in the first, 16-5 Calgary in the second, and then 10-9 Edmonton in the third. Final shots 32-28 for the Oilers. Power plays 1 for 5 for Edmonton, 1 for 3 for Calgary. Koskinen 22 saves on 28 shots. He is being overplayed. And Markstrom 28 saves on 32 shots. So for Koskinen, he's got to be asking in the locker room, so is Mike Smith ready now, or can Mike play the next game, or can I have a night off, or can we throw Skinner in again? Because again, I can't criticize a goaltender when I know he's being overplayed. Can't. All right, moving along. All right, San Jose and Anaheim. This one won't take nearly as long to describe as the Battle of Alberta or this Panic Index game. Couture scores at 11 seconds. So the puck drops. I'm like, oh, this should be interesting. Oh, wow. The Oilers drop to 6-7. The Flames go to 5-1. So much like the Islanders, the Flames had to win this game. And this was kind of a must-win game for both teams tonight. So Couture scores from Ferraro and Kane at 11 seconds. Okie dokie. This was the 1,733rd game of Marleau's career. He ties Yager. So next up on the games played list is Messier. And after Messier, it's Gordie Howe. So Marleau does have a very, very realistic chance of catching Gordie Howe as long as there aren't a bunch of games that are postponed and as long as he doesn't get hurt. And Marleau in his career generally doesn't get hurt. Power play then for the Ducks. Dubnyk made penalty kill saves. Dubnyk was fantastic tonight. He really was. Best game of the season. Game slowed down. Both defenses tightened up as this period went along. Comtois had a shot that went off Dubnyk's shoulder. There were a couple, too, that went between his his arm and his torso right here just went right through, and they just went wide of the net. There were a couple of those tonight for the Ducks. Power play then for the Sharks. Things get kind of scrummy with 2:42 left. These teams not liking each other a whole lot. But we go to the second period. San Jose clinging to that 1-0 lead. It was a slow start to the second for both teams, and it felt like a California game between two teams that kind of struggling with scoring tonight. Last game was like this, though, and then, of course, we ended up with a huge amount of goals later on. Miller denied Marlowe, and then Lundestrom gets his first NHL goal from Lindholm and Shattenkirk at 5:42. It's a tie game. And Anaheim, who had a pretty good first, I thought they were pretty good in the second as well, even though San Jose did outshoot them. There was 2 minutes of 4-on-4. The Ducks had a 4-on-3. Basically, the Sharks end up killing off the 4-on-3 and then the 5-on-4 as well when the offsetting penalties were over. The Ducks get another power play, but it just didn't work for them tonight. San Jose's penalty kill continues to be a great story for them. Third period, Raquel was denied. There was an early push for the Ducks. Rickard Raquel had his opportunities tonight, just not quite going in the net. Dubnyk stopped a chance for Heinen. Another solid game for Ryan Miller. Everybody knows I love Ryan Miller. I've got Ryan Miller jerseys with the Ducks, with the Canucks, with the Sabres, and with the Blues. Even with the Blues. That's how you know Shannon likes Ryan Miller, because he's even got the Blues one. Dubnyk then stopped a shot from Lundestrom, which would have been his second goal. And then, really, honestly, it was a great period for the Ducks. They were up 8-1 in shots at 11 minutes. Post then for Timo Meier. Miller stopped a shot from Karlsson at the point, and Fowler had a shot that went into the crease and kind of fumbled a bit there, and just it wasn't going tonight. So we go to overtime. Terry to Raquel. Almost. Didn't get a shot. Raquel to Fowler. Shift later. Almost. Doesn't quite click. Dubnyk then stopped a good chance from Comtois. And in the last 10 seconds, there were some chances for the Ducks. It just wasn't going to happen. So we go to a shootout. In the shootout, the eventual winner is scored by Comtois. So Comtois has become kind of the scoring leader for Anaheim, and I know that shootout goals don't count as in the regular stats, but again, they went to him and he got them a goal in the shootout. Kudos to him. So the Ducks win this one in a shootout 2-1 over San Jose. San Jose drops to 4-5-1. The Ducks are 5-5-3, and these two teams are going to both be watching when Minnesota comes back from their break, their unscheduled break. How they play, because that's the fourth place team they're going to be looking at. St. Louis, Vegas, and Colorado should have those three spots nailed down. These teams are fighting for that fourth spot. Shots in this one, 12-10 Anaheim in the first, 12-9 San Jose in the second, 10-5 Anaheim in the third. Anaheim had the only two official shots in the overtime. Final shots, 33-27 for the Ducks. San Jose 0-1 on the power play. Anaheim 0-3. Dubnyk, 32 saves on 33 shots, and Miller, 26 saves on 29 shots. He's got himself another win. So Miller continues to ramble on up the all-time wins list, and it's always nice to see him get himself a victory. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts regarding these games in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing right through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.